Hi friends! So today we are talking about the motor centers, okay? That will be our focus today. So I have my notes here. Last year I read the centers book. I forgot why I was reading it, but I went through the whole book, okay? Because I wanted to understand the centers. I wanted to know how they work. And I started my own vault of human design stuff. And so I decided let's review some of that stuff. So first of all, let's go through the centers, right? So up here and at the top we have the head center. So this is about inspiration and ideas. That is a pressure center. I do plan on doing a more thorough video for the centers in general, but let's just do this. So the head is going to be for inspiration and ideas, and it is a pressure center. The ajna is going to be for processing information, the inspiration and ideas that are coming from the head, okay? So that information from the head is moving down into the ajna. You notice that the head is only connected to the ajna, and that is basically where the questions and the ideas and the inspiration is being processed through the ajna, and the ajna is an awareness center. Then under the ajna connects to the throat center, okay? Now, the throat center is our manifestation center. It is also where we articulate, okay, where we create into the physical. So we have our throat center. Then we have the G center. The G center, or our identity center, that is for self-love. It's about our direction in life, and it's about our identity. Then let's go over here. We have the will center, or the heart center, or the ego center, okay? That is going to be the capacity to commit, value, material world, and that is going to be a motor. Then let's come down to the emotional solar plexus. So the emotional solar plexus is our emotional center. It is a motor, it is also an awareness center. Then we have that's funny, the sacral not there. We also have a sacral center, right? So our sacral is going to be where we have that life force energy, okay? That is where fertility lives. That is where creation lives, okay? And that is going to be a motor center. And yeah. Then we have the root center, which is right here. The root center is our adrenalized energy. It is a motor center, but it's also a pressure center, which we're going to talk about in a bit. Then we have our spleen center, which is intuition. Fear is about time. And the immune system, it is an awareness center. Notice that our awareness center, body, emotions, mind, right, is the ajna. So, pretty cool. Okay. So we're going to talk about the four motors, right? And that's the will center, ego center, heart center. Call it any of those. And then we have the emotional solar plexus, then we have the sacral, and we have the root center. We're going to talk about these four. So each motor in human design operates differently, providing distinct forms of energy and driving forces for various aspects of our lives. So this is going to be an overview. First, we have the sacral. The sacral center is the primary motor center in human design and provides sustainable, consistent energy for action and manifestation, in a sense of creation. It operates on a yes or no response mechanism, generating vitality and drive for work, creativity, and physical activities. The sacral's energy is reliable and can be assessed consistently through the sacral response. That is our energy that is powering up our generators, right? Both mani-gens and pure generators. So that energy is potent and it is consistent. The rest of these motors are not consistent, but this one is. All right, so let's go to the root center. The root center functions as a pressure center and a motor center. As a pressure center, it is initiating bursts of adrenaline and fuel in response to specific triggers or situations. It provides the energy needed to take swift action, adapt to change, and navigate high pressure or stressful circumstances. The root's energy is activated in response to pressure, stress, uncertainty, excitement, or intention. Again, the root energy is activated. It is turned on in response to pressure, stress, uncertainty, excitement, or intention. So something external turns it on. All right, keep that in mind. Then we have the solar plexus center. That is our emotional center. The solar plexus center is associated with emotional energy and drives. Also speaks to our desires. It influences our emotional landscape, mood fluctuations, and capacity for empathy and connection. The solar plexus generates waves of emotional energy ranging from passion and enthusiasm to fear and anxiety. Its energy is fluid and fluctuates based on emotional experiences and interactions with others. So, let me finish this and then I'm gonna tell y'all. So the will center, or the ego or heart center, call it what you will, is linked to our sense of self, identity, and personal power. It provides the energy for self-expression, confidence, and leadership. The heart's energy fuels our ability to assert ourselves, pursue our goals, and make an impact in the world. Its energy is driven by self-awareness, confidence, and determination. I feel like for this energy, this is an internal turn on, right? Something within you is turning that on. So with these motor centers, each motor center in human design operates uniquely, as I just explained, providing specific forms of energy and driving forces for different aspects of our lives. Whether it's the sustainable vitality of the sacral, the adrenaline-fueled burst of the root burst, right? It cuts on, cuts off. The emotional waves of the solar plexus, or the self-assertion of the heart. Each center contributes to our overall energy dynamics and experiences in human design. So though we have our sacral center for our generators, we all may have access to some kind of motor, and each of those motors is turned on by something different. One of the ways I usually know what is being used is because each of these gates within these centers will have a theme that goes to the general theme of the role of that center. And so, right, like when we're talking about timing and stuff like that, it's mentioned in a root, right? But the other thing is too, the sacral, right, talks about how it turns on by these sacral responses, these yes or no's in the moment, right? And one of the gates, there's gates in that center that will definitely speak to how something is turned on. Sorry, y'all, I got distracted, so my energy got interrupted. My bad. Lucky's right here playing. My bad. All right, my energy got interrupted. My bad. All right, let me back up. My whole point is that each of these centers, the gates within them, will speak to the theme. And so it's so funny that when people say, when I ask you for your charts and I ask you what theme you're talking to, when you tell me a theme, it helps me to know what center to look at. It just does. It's like something in my brain. Like, I'm a very resourceful person, right? I might not remember everything in the human design, but I always know where to look. If I know about it, I know where to look. And so it's really a matter of, like, when I ask you certain things or you say certain things, I will know what center to look at because of what you're saying, because what you're saying will tie into a theme. And so within that theme, there's going to be a gate relating to whatever you're saying. I don't know how, it just is. It just always works out for me that way. But yeah, so those are the motors, and all the gates within it will relate to the theme of that center, of the center role, right? Whether it's a pressure and motor center, an awareness and motor center, or just a motor center. Yeah. So yeah, ask your questions in the comments. We will go over awareness centers next. And then I'm gonna go through the whole thing. I don't know why I decided to break this up, but that's what I got called to. So you're welcome.